Oh boy, we can finally talk about Guilty Gear XX, or X2, or Midnight Carnival as it is known in Japan. Released 2002 for the arcade, and quickly after that for the PS2, the third game in the franchise, possibly the best Guilty Gear ever made, and I think most people would agree that it's their favorite game, if not, top 2 in the series. So, let's see if they are right. A whopping 5 different updated versions were released later. I will be talking about them all in some sense and all, but all footage you will be seeing is from Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus. Even though the original and Accent Core Plus are probably different games enough to warrant their own videos, I will be talking about both of them here as if they were the same thing, because in the end, the gameplay is the same, virtually. Alright, let's get to all the different versions. Starting with Guilty Gear X2 Reload. This was the first update, released next year for the arcades and a year after that for the Xbox and PC actually. Then it was Guilty Gear XX Slash. First released 2005 I believe for the arcades in Japan, and then released the following year like everybody to the PS2. Guilty Gear XX Accent Core 2006 arcades, and the year later PS2. Oh, and for the first time ever for the Nintendo Wii. Then after that we get to the big boy, Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus. Came out 2008 for the PS2 and PSP worldwide at the same time. It was also followed by a PSN and an Xbox Live Arcade version, and this is the big update. This is almost a sequel on its own. This is the most complete version. So if you're just interested in the best fighting possible and don't really care about the story, I would recommend this version. But we aren't done, there's still one more. Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus R. Came out much later, in 2012, to the arcades, and a year later for the PlayStation Vita. Alright, I think someone has to have a serious conversation with whoever is in charge of the names at Arc System Works, because good god, the naming sense. In one word, it is horrible. But at this point, honestly, if they changed it, I would be a bit disappointed. I love laughing at these. And I love when I say to my friend, play Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus R, they get so confused at what the heck that name was. And can we just agree that Guilty Gear Strive is a boring name? Come on, where's Guilty Gear XX Super X Dash 12.5 R? Alright, let's get into the meat and potatoes, the gameplay. And the gameplay is the familiar Guilty Gear style. Fast-paced, super moves, Roman cancels, all the new fancy stuff. And the new thing here in X2 is the addition of a burst gauge. Once it is filled, you can unleash a Psych Burst, which you can repel the enemy even in the middle of a combo, to get some distance from him, stopping the combo. Really useful if you're getting curb stomped or you're in a corner stuck, covering in fear. Oh, and my favorite, the instant kills also make a return. Though I do have to say I am a bit disappointed here. All of them are the same from Guilty Gear X. Of course, the new characters have new ones, and the new ones are great. I would say better than ever. And the old ones are still good, they haven't gotten magically worse or anything. But, somehow I still wanted updated versions of them or something here. There is also a few new game modes. Like the introduction to the MOM mode. MOM stands for Medal of Millionaires. You earn medals by performing combos and defeating enemies. It gets more interesting and fleshed out in later games, but for now it's actually a bit boring. Another new mode is mission mode. There are 50 different challenges here in which players can have a handicap, like starting with half health or being poisoned, or the enemy having different buffs. And your reward for completing this is some nice artwork. And it is definitely a welcome, nice little addition, even though it can get really tough. Oh, and if you were worried, the arcade mode is still just as hard as it ever was. Well, I'm sure if you're a fighting game veteran it will be a piece of cake, but someone like me, who likes fighting games, but does not play them religiously or anything, I can just say Ino wipes her butt with my face. Even after learning all her patterns, she's still a tough pill to swallow. And she is kind of a legendary boss fight at this point. I would recommend getting the game just to see if you can beat Ino. It's pretty fun with friends. Story mode is also better than ever. And if you ask me, Arc System Works always was one of those to push the story mode forward in fighting games. Nowadays, every fighting game has some sort of story mode, but you don't have to go that far back for fighting games to have no story mode at all, or story being 2 lines of text after defeating someone in the arcade. The story itself takes place only 2 weeks after the events of Guilty Gear X. Dizzy is happily with the jellyfish pirates, very happily, until Ino attacks. Ino is working with that man, aka the creator of Gears. There's also a mysterious secret organization looking into the competitors of the previous tournaments, who are also making mechanical copies of Kai for some nefarious need. Oh, and Jan's restaurant has been burned down and she's looking for the culprit. Now in Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus, which at least when it comes to the story you can consider is a full-on sequel. Some character stories continue exact where they left off in the base game. So if you're really into the story and want the complete story and want to follow it chronologically, you should play the original Guilty Gear XX before moving on to Accent Core Plus. And surprisingly here, the story mode is fully voiced, so you can enjoy the smooth tongue clicking of Soul in every single conversation. The story mode even has choices and multiple endings. Now, I know I might sound like a broken record at this point, but the music is just good fun. And if you were like me and you weren't super thrilled with Guilty Gear X's music, then don't worry, this goes balls to the walls with bangers everywhere, and it's an improvement all over the place. Of course, if you don't like the style of this music, this doesn't really do anything to change your mind. So if you were into it earlier, you will be definitely into this, but if you didn't, this won't change your mind. In conclusion, Guilty Gear XX is one of the best games in the series, and honestly probably one of the best fighting games ever made. If there is only one Guilty Gear you play, then it probably should be the latest one to get a modern experience. But if you play one of the older ones, then Guilty Gear Accent Core Plus is the one you should play. Thanks for watching, guys, and if you liked it, check out these videos. If you really liked it, subscribe. I will probably make even more of these. Yeah, I think it's Guilty Gear Xrd Sign next. Ooh, that's gonna be a doozy.